If you're planning a trip to Nairobi and you're not sure where to stay, this video is going to help you. It's going to help you save time, money, and frustration. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Travel Check-ins with Saidah
and Germaine.
So if you're thinking about coming to Nairobi, this video is definitely going to help you out. We're going to just talk about some of the things that kind of we talk about in our consultations and some of the things we considered when we were picking what neighborhood we wanted to stay in. So babe, if I were to ask you what are 3 things people should be considering when they're choosing a neighborhood in Nairobi, what would be the top 3 things that come to mind?
Budget probably be number 1, because without money you're not going anywhere. Second, a close second is probably safety. Right? And to me, distant third would probably be like the vibe. What do you like? Do you like a bunch of trees? You want busy? You want slow? That kind of thing. Yeah.
And definitely like what kind of lifestyle, right? They're into, whether they're looking for remote work, vacation. What are some of the other things? Some people are just coming to have a nice time. And some people are coming to do a possible move.
Yes, but even with the move, I think those 3 things are kind of the most important: visiting or moving.
Yeah, absolutely. So we want to talk to you guys about our first week moving to Nairobi. So we're taking out the visiting and all of that. Those times that we visited before we actually moved to Kenya. And our first week we were in the Kilimani, Kileleshwa area. And Germaine, can you tell them why we started our journey in the Kilimani, Kileleshwa area?
We did some research before we got here, but the bottom line is it checked the box for the first 2. It was economical side or whatever was pretty good, and the safety, like Kilimani, I didn't see any problems over there as far as safety goes.
But as far as the vibe and the environment, did it tick the box for us for that?
Not for me, no.
Yeah,
there's a little too much going on. It's busy over there, and it was loud over there. It was party left and right.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to hear this every night.
Okay, so let me ask you this. What did we enjoy about the Kilimani, Kileleshwa area?
Well, with it being busy, right, it's convenient too. Yeah. Because Yaya Center was right up the street, so it was walking distance. So here in Kenya, anything within a mile is walking distance for most people, not for me, but Yaya Center was definitely within walking distance.
And Yaya Center is a mall here in Nairobi, so if you want to get to the mall where you can find things to eat, things to do like movies, bowling, grocery shopping, everything. Clothes, or any kind of shopping, you'll find that at the mall, and Yaya Center is one of the malls.
Right.
So what didn't really fit our lifestyle in the Kilimani, Kileleshwa area?
It was a lot of construction going over there. You thought it was going on over here, but it was a lot. The main thing for me is the party. It was just too loud every night almost. I was like, there's no way I could stay over here all the time. It seemed like it was every night. That was the main thing with me, and it just wasn't my kind of vibe over there. That's just what my side of town. I could just tell. Yeah, so it just wasn't. I don't know. What about you?
I think the building was pretty noisy. I think we were living in a building where locals live. And so they're coming home from work late at night.
It wasn't just locals. It was a party of people from the West.
Yes, there was. But a lot of the people I heard talking in the hallways were not Americans. They weren't Westerners.
Oh, you heard the Swahili?
Yes, I heard Kenyans in the hallway. So which let me know that Kenyans did live in that building, which is fine. But they're coming back and forth from work. They're coming home from work late, and then they're starting their dinner with their families and stuff. And we would hear stuff moving around, people talking in the hallway in the evening, because Kenya is a very communal place.
You know what I hear?
What's that?
Young people.
Yeah.
That's what I hear. Because if they had been older, they probably wouldn't have been making all that noise, coming in late. If they do come in late, they're quiet. I don't know. What do you think about that part?
Yeah, I don't know. I just know it was noisy. It was too noisy for me. I'd be in my bed at 12, 1 a.m. and I hear furniture moving all around upstairs, moving chairs left and right. Because a lot of the apartments here, they don't have carpet on the floor. So it's hard, like floor. And if there's not like really thick cement between, the levels, you can hear it. And plus the way some of the buildings are set up, there's a lot of echoes throughout the buildings because they're open spaces.
Right.
So if somebody's talking on a floor and there's no floor between the floors, it's just one big open corridor in the middle, you hear it all in the building.
I mean, if you live in a major city, it probably wouldn't be a foreign thing to you. But at this point, we came from the suburbs, so it's hard to go from the suburbs to hearing all that noise.
And our buildings are just not constructed in that way. We don't have these like open corridor buildings much in the U.S. We have like floors between each floor, so it's a little bit different.
You gotta walk down the hall to get everywhere.
So, would you say that us living in Kilimani and Kileleshwa, did it give you a good feel for what everyday life in Nairobi is like? And I'm asking this question so that if someone comes and stays in a particular area for a week or 2 weeks, if they stayed in Kilimani, Kileleshwa, do you think they would get a good feel for what everyday life is like in Nairobi?
Sort of, but Nairobi is just like any other like major city. It's got different people, different economic pockets, so it all depends. Kileleshwa is the busy. It's busy. It's almost like being on the east side.
Yeah,
it's just busy. There's some stuff going on.
It's one of the busiest neighborhoods.
Gotta be.
That expats and foreigners actually stay in when they're here on vacation or they're moving here. It's one of the busiest because there are other more busier estates and areas in Nairobi, but these are the ones we're talking about that expats would find themselves in, and that one is pretty busy. Yeah, it's probably the busiest of all of them. Yeah,
busier than Lavington, busier than Westlands. Yeah.
Yes. So now let's break down the top 3 neighborhoods that we kind of narrowed it down to, and we're going to talk about their pros and cons. So the 3 neighborhoods are what?
The ones we just mentioned, Kileleshwa, Kilimani. I don't know the difference. They're the same thing to me. I don't think Americans or Westerners will know the difference either. Lavington is the next one, and then you have Westlands.
Yeah. So what makes Westlands a go-to spot for travelers and digital nomads?
Well, I should mention this one too, an honorable mention. The Gigiri area. The reason I don't is Gigiri is fairly on the pricey side, and to me it's more like a visitation, or you need to know already. That's why I didn't say it.
A little bit more residential too.
It is, but if you don't, it's not going to give you a vibe of the city, so I don't really talk about it much. You said what made Westlands our go-to?
What makes Westlands a go-to spot for travelers? Not ours, but a go-to spot for travelers and digital nomads.
Westlands, you're gonna see everybody. You're gonna see foreigners. You're gonna see local Kenyans. Westlands, you're gonna see everybody, and it's a little more. I would sort of say upscale. But I think
it depends on preference.
Yeah, it probably depends on preference, but it's got a little of everything. It's got the busy, it's got the slow, it's got a little of everything. That's why I kind of like it over here.
So, and I think here in Westlands, there are a lot of like cafes and stuff you can meet at and do remote work. There's a lot of like indoor, outdoor spaces. There's a lot of communal spaces where the restaurants are like they're big open spaces, and you can come in and you can work, and they'll have like some light music playing. You can eat food and stuff. So I think that's one of the good things. Now, is Lavington better for peace and quiet and families?
Well, we didn't stay in Lavington, but what I know about Lavington, I would say yes, probably, because probably a little bit better deals over there. They got a little bit more greenery.
They do. It's more green space.
Yeah, trees. So yeah, I think it probably is. You're talking about families. We talked to some people, and they were satisfied from being over there in Lavington when they came.
For sure. And for those of you who are expats or even Kenyans, if you live or have stayed in the Westlands area, the Lavington area, Kilimani or Kileleshwa, let us know what your experience are or is, and let us know maybe what apartments you liked and you would recommend, like which apartment buildings, not necessarily Airbnb, but the building itself, the building name. I think that would be very valuable to people who are maybe reading through the comments. And they could even ask you, then they can deep dive and ask you, how did you like it there? What was it like around there? What was close by? So does Kilimani, Kileleshwa offer the best mix of budget and convenience?
Budget and convenience, yes.
For sure.
Yeah. It's definitely convenient. It's definitely a little cheaper over there. But it was just too fast for me and too loud. That's all.
Yeah, for sure. And if you guys are looking to sit down and talk with us about different areas, or maybe want us to take you around, show you what the different areas are, assist you in figuring out where you should stay, should you go with hotels like we do, Airbnbs, make sure you click the link in the description, and you can set up a consultation with us, sit down and talk with us for a little bit. So Germaine, how did we choose Westlands as our base? How did we narrow it down between Lavington, Kilimani?
Well, I don't think we mentioned this, right? When we first got here, we stayed in a hotel for a day. Was it 1 day, 2 days?
Yes, about 2 days. No, it was about 4 days. When
Was
we
it that
first
long?
got here, we booked 4 days.
Oh yeah, we went to the coffee, got coffee and all
Yeah.
that. Then we said, okay, it's time to go. Start our new life. Went over there. Was like,
To the Airbnb in Kilimani.
Let me back up.
Back up.
Before we left, the guy at the other hotel, he said, hey, I don't know the guy and girl, I don't remember. But they said, hey, we might have some apartments here.
Yeah.
So, if you don't like it, double back over here.
And I think we knew that there were apartments in there, but we were just like,
I didn't.
nah.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Until they said it.
Yeah. So that's pretty much, so what
double back.
what would you say tipped the scale and made Westlands our final pick? Like, is it just because he said there's some apartments here?
Well, we know we didn't really like the vibe on
We
the
hadn't went yet.
Kileleshwa. Huh?
We hadn't gone
well,
yet.
when we made our decision.
Okay.
Because I didn't make a decision. I didn't even think about it no more. I looked at the price. I was like, nah. I see much cheaper on the other side. I was like,
Yeah.
nah, we go to Kilimani.
Yeah.
We went over there. I was like, man, it's kind of loud.
It's crowded.
I think we talked because we loved the hotel and we loved the hospitality they had.
Yes.
They were pretty good. So we're like, we're going to try it for a month.
Yeah.
And then went over there and start walking around the area and have your little favorite coffee spots where you want to go. It just became like home because it's like where you move.
Yeah, and I think the area we chose, it best fit our needs for getting around town,
Right.
getting to get our groceries fairly quickly,
Learning
finding
the area.
little spots, learning the area. It was just way more chill for our daily life.
Did you find that you were more comfortable there? You think it helped you learn the city? Or do you think you were on edge in Kilimani, or you were fine over there when you first got here?
When I was in Kilimani, Kileleshwa, I felt like I was back in New York.
Oh, okay.
Like, it was just so crowded. It was people everywhere. It was noise everywhere. It was dusty.
So it makes you on guard too.
Yeah, it's like you just gotta keep your head on a swivel and stuff. I didn't really feel like once we went outside the gate and we had to go even inside the gate. Once we came out of our apartment, I was like, okay, it's on.
Yeah, because you go down Muthifi, especially on Saturday and Sunday,
It's just so chill.
nothing going on.
It's just so chill. Yeah. So it just all depends on what you're actually looking for, and that's what helped us as people who are slow traveling, and Kenya being our home base. We just like Westlands. Now, mind you, there are some other areas that we do like. There are other areas that I like. There's other areas that we're considering, but we're just kind of giving you those main areas that you're going to hear about from other expats and within groups in the diaspora.
And when you first get here, especially if you're visiting, right, these probably need to be your first ones you try before
and
you
then
branch out. Because there's some nice places in Nairobi, but you got to start somewhere.
Yeah. And I think you increase your odds of running into other expats when you stay in some of these places. So if you want to kind of get your footing while you're here, it's definitely a good option.
Right.
And we're not going to talk about places like Mombasa and all that, because we know a lot of diaspora does move here and move to Mombasa.
Right.
That's just that's not an option for us, for the lifestyle we live, as far as like what we do for
what we have to do
while we're here.
Yeah.
So after we made our decision to move to Westlands and to have Westlands as our base, have you had any regrets or second guesses?
Moving Westlands?
Yeah.
No. Not really. Only thing we looked at, I said, oh man, Gagiri look like it's got going on. But I saw that price tag over there. I said, I think Westlands is it for me.
Biggest regret for me for Westlands is the amount of noise, because Kilimani and Kileleshwa has a lot of noise, but Westlands, they're still growing. They're building a lot of buildings just all around. And the noise would probably be one thing, but Other than that, I like the area. It's just, the noise so you can live in different places in the Westlands, so you don't have to live by the noise. It's different places you can live. Just where we were living, they're building a brand new building in the front of our building, behind our building, over to that side of our building.
I still don't think it was as busy as Kilimani.
No,
because along with the partying.
Yeah, absolutely not. So let's talk about advice for travelers and long-term visitors. Should short stay travelers and long stay visitors stay at the same places, or is it like, should they be looking at different places?
I think, well, there's two different things. So long-term traveler, right? I think you need to stay at 2-3 parts of town. Like we stayed in 2, right? And we were familiar with the city,
we're familiar with
slightly,
other places, yeah.
And people rode us around like our people rode us around.
Yeah.
But if you don't really have that, stay in 2 or 3 places so you kind of get the vibe of the city, of what you like and what you don't like. If you think about long term, if you're a short term, man, the easiest thing is Westlands. I ain't gonna lie. To me, it's like you'll be familiar with it, but it's not. You ain't in America or London, wherever now. You still know you're in Kenya, but it's like super modern over here. You got everything you need, and if you find you don't need
then
all
you
that,
can move over to Kilimani, Kileleshwa.
But at first, because I know a lot of people have issues with safety here. They don't know how safe it is.
Oh yeah, but they questions about safety.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Okay.
But when you get over here in Westlands, you're like, oh, it's super safe over here. And Westlands is actually one of the places they recommend on, I think it's the UN site, the blue zones and all that. Westlands is actually one of them. So it gives you your comfort level on both sides. For sure.
So Germaine, if somebody were coming here, or like when our clients come here, how would you explain to them how they could test drive a neighborhood without a long-term commitment, and just how to test drive a neighborhood in general?
Well, it's 2 options, just like you would do in the States. You would stay in a hotel or Airbnb. That's basically it. And I would try them all out. If you don't like the Airbnb, you think you got catfish on it, go to another one. Go to a hotel. We just hotel people, right? We try Airbnb in the States here. I'm not saying we'll never do it again, because I'm quite sure we will when we should visit other places. But overwhelmingly, we are hotel people, because you know what you're
9 times out of 10. Yeah. You just know what you're getting. The level of commitment is just there. But as far as test driving a neighborhood, you definitely need to stay in that place or see that place in both the day and the night. Because you need to see, what the traffic is like. How is it getting from that location to wherever you're going to spend a lot of your time while you're in Nairobi? And see, that matters if you're working in Nairobi, or you have any kind of business dealings in Nairobi. Like if you're just on leisure time and it doesn't really matter what time you get around, then it doesn't matter. But if it does, the traffic here during rush hour and peak times can have you sitting in traffic for a long time. So you have to take those into consideration. So if we had to do it all over again in terms of us choosing a place to live here, what would we do differently if we were starting from scratch? If there is anything, might not be anything.
I'll be honest with you, I can't think of anything, because we have boots on the ground here, and we have people working on by our behalf, even looking at places for us. We are doing our own research.
They were going and touring apartments for us, checking prices, all of that for us.
So we had boots on the ground. The only thing you can do is have boots on the ground and do your own research. And we did that. We didn't have to really do a consultation with anybody, because we had people,
friends here. We had people we knew here.
In our organization.
But it was just like a consultation. It's everything that we do in a consultation, what our friends did for us. And even at the time when they were going and they were touring apartments and Airbnbs, I didn't realize how significant that was. And you guys hear me say a lot, and I mentioned this term, Airbnb catfish or apartment catfish, is because it's just like back in the day. Sometimes what you see is not always what you get. And
we learned that from them. They say, no, we need to go see. So
if you had to ask me what I would do differently if we were starting from scratch, I would just skip Kilimani, Kileleshwa. But the thing is, you don't know what you don't know. So I didn't know. That wasn't a good fit for us until we went over there and we experienced it.
But you know, we talked to some people and they say they loved it over there.
Some people love Kilimani, Kileleshwa. It just depends on what your lifestyle is, your age range is, what you like to do, what your daily activities are.
You're getting old, man.
Yeah. So, a lot of times people are like, oh, it's a club over here. Let's go to the lounge. Every time we go eat out, they always inviting us to go to clubs and lounges. We're like, no, we're not into that kind of thing. We're heading to bed around 9:30.
Man, what? I'm about to hit that AARP.
Right. So we could get up and hit the gym in the morning, that kind of stuff. So if you're enjoying this video, go ahead and hit the like button and don't forget to subscribe to our channel. But if you're still not sure where you want to stay in Nairobi or how to plan your visit, we do offer consultations. Hit the link in the description. And if you have any questions or anything about moving to Kenya, visiting Kenya, just let us know. And I don't think we have anything else to add. So we will catch you guys in the next video. Thanks so much for watching, guys. We really appreciate you.
All right, y'all.